How would you go about homebrewing a land or realm of the dead? So a land of the dead to me indicates either an island where necromancy is abound, or a sort of peninsula or some sort of isolated area on the other side of a mountain range, or something like a country, a county or a country, a region where necromancy is abound. A realm of the dead, however, indicates to me more of a plane, like a separate plane that you have to get through planar portals or travel or something like that. And how I would go about doing it is I would first come up with the geography of the land, because that's not going to be affected by the undead situation. Although it could be. You could have like an undead titan that wanders the realm, and he just like he collapses, and he creates like a mountain, and things grow on him, and then every 100 years or whatever he stands up again and starts zombie shuffling, and then collapses, boom, and so the terrain is always shifting. That kind of could be a cool idea. That's a kind of cool idea for just like remove the undead element, and it's just a titan that moves, like a moving mountain that shifts every X number of years, and it keeps you from having to work too far into the history of your world, because you can, anything else that you haven't come up with yet, you can just hand wave as like, well, the map was different then anyway, civilizations were different, there were different empires because of the shifting mountains. Might steal that from myself for my own ideas. Back to the undead thing though, I would generally start with what's the geography of the area. In order to start that, I always think about the mountain ranges first. I think about like tectonic movements, because where tectonic plates are coming together, if it's two plates of an equal density, then they usually push up to create mountain ranges like the Himalayas. If it's two plate tectonics of different densities, then one of them subverts, no? Can't remember the name for it geographically. Subverts, I want to say. One of them goes down under the other, which creates a smaller mountain range than the Himalaya type mountain ranges. But it also creates more volcanoes as this plate dissolves into magma, and then there's usually more cracks for the volcanoes to come out. So it's more of a volcanic mountain range. If they're two oceanic plates, they can either crush up to create a mid-ocean mountain range, or they can like both kind of subvert to create like a crushed up situation there. It's usually more the mountain range. And then if the plates are moving away, then it creates more volcanoes as they come, and volcanoes come out, but less of a mountainous volcanic range and just active volcanoes. So I think about that first. I think about where are the mountains? Because once you've got the mountains, you've got the rivers, because you choose which direction the wind is predominantly coming from. With a mountain range, there's almost always a windward side and a leeward side. And so the windward side is where the wind comes in. It brings all the moist air in from wherever it's coming from, especially if it's a mountain range near an ocean. It brings in moist air filled with a lot of water, which then gets pushed up by the mountain range. As the air rises, it gets colder. Cold air can't hold as much water as warm air can, and so the water condenses and drops, and so you get a lot of rain on the windward side of a mountain. And then because it's lost a lot of its air, as the air comes back down the other side and warms up, you get a lot less rain, a lot less water, which was why you've got a leeward side of a mountain range. So on the leeward side tends to be more desert. On the windward side tends to be more forest. So as soon as you've started thinking about a new area, a new realm, and you've come up with your mountains, you've already got where the forests are likely to be, where the deserts are likely to be, if any. You've got where there's more likely to be rivers and lakes and streams and springs. And obviously the water only ever flows downhill towards the ocean, unless there's magic involved. And then civilizations that rely on water to live, they tend to spring up around where the water is now. So from the mountains, you know where the forests are, and the water is, and where the forests and water is, that tends to be where your cities are. And then once you've got your cities, you can then start to think, well, if there's two cities this close to each other, they're either fighting or they're allies. There's no like middle ground. If there's two cities in close proximity and close enough to traverse, then they would either be close allies and have economic partnership. They would trade goods with each other and things like that. Or they're actively at war, and that helps come up with the rest of the history of the land. So it's no different from my undead realm. I would do the same thing. I'd go, okay, I'd come up with all of those things, and then I would just think, right, now that I've got the general layout and brief history of the land, add in an undead element. I would first have to think about what is it that makes this land undead. Is it a god of undeath, like Daesh in my world, or Orcus in the Forgotten Realms world, or whatever? Is it a god of undeath? Is it a wizard that was a powerful necromancer and he like cast some sort of curse on the area? Kind of like a Strahd situation, I think. Not that I know too much about how Strahd works. So you come up with the source for the undeath. Is it a powerful artifact that dropped from the heavens or came from a different plane of existence and landed down and then was buried, and then over time it just seeped into the land? Whatever the reason is. And then come up with like how does that affect the land? Is it completely devoid of any new visitors because people know it to be undead? And so they don't visit there? And so the only creatures that live there are creatures that were living there when it turned into an undead land and then have been cursed with permanent existence. Are there cities and civilizations just as normal, but they're run by sentient undead creatures like vampires and mummies and things? Or is every undead, once you become undead there, is everything just a mindless shuffling zombie or a skeleton? All questions that you would have to ask. And then on top of that, you'd also have to ask, how does it affect plant life? Is it just sentient creatures that are affected? Or are plants and beasts affected as well? Are the rocks and the non-organic materials, are they also affected? Do you get some sort of undead elementals? It would be a fun little thing to homebrew for sure, but there's a lot of questions to ask before you've made your mind up about it all. Hey, if you'd like a short personalized video from me, for whatever reason, I'm on Cameo, and you can check it out in the link in the description.